Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar on building and managing mentoring programs. I'm Julie Nicholson from the Connect team here at Unlimited, and myself and Marika will be doing a bit of a double act for the next 40-45 minutes as we share our lessons learned through running the Unlimited Connect program. I'm going to hand the controls over to Marika to start with, and then I will be presenting shortly. But I hope you enjoy the webinar. We are recording it, and if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to write them in the box, and we'll do a bit of a Q&A at the end if you have them.
Okay, hello everyone, and welcome also on my behalf. I'm Marika, and I work as a Connect coordinator at Unlimited, managing our mentor and volunteer networks in London and in the South. Now, my second half of my role is also delivering the Connect support for our university support program, our higher education support program, which we've started back in September. And the purpose of that program, we are working with 56 universities, and I know most of the people on the line will be our university partners who this is aimed at. The purpose of the program is for Unlimited to share our model and the way we support entrepreneurs, how we find, fund and support them with the university partners, and helping them to adapt and adopt our model in the way that is appropriate. And as part of that, we also want to do the same with Connect. So we provide Connect support, but we also want to share our Connect model. So if there are any universities who are interested in starting up their own mentoring programs, or perhaps you have your own program but you want to develop it further, then this is part of that work, and we'll today want to talk you through, like Julie said, our lessons learned. So what have we learned along the way? How do you get started? How do you start building your networks? What are the steps along the way? You recruit your mentors, you source your support requests, you do the matching, then you look after the mentoring pairs, all of that stuff. And also we'll discuss at the end some of the challenges that you might come across, some of the possible issues that might arise while you do this work. Please type in questions. We'll have time at the end. We've allowed 15 minutes at the end for questions. Please type them throughout, and we'll pick those up. We'll pick those up as we go along. And also, obviously, afterwards, I'm happy to speak to any of you directly. Come and see you, whatever. If there's anything that you want to hear more about. Okay, but let's just get started. I know you all know what Unlimited is, so I'm not going to go into detail about that. I just wanted to put this slide up just as context for our work. So everything that Unlimited does, including the Connect service, is all about enabling our entrepreneurs to move along what we call the social entrepreneur's journey. And that's from anything from having an idea, testing that idea, building it up to be a small-scale, sustainable venture, and then all the way up to scaling up and replicating what they do. So everything in the mentoring and pro bono work is also geared towards helping the entrepreneurs to achieve that. So just as a wider context for everything we do. I'll hand you over to Julie for the next few slides to talk about a little bit about how Connect came about, our work, where it came from, and what we do currently.
Thanks, Marika. I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes just giving the background of how Connect actually started within Unlimited. And that was actually back in 2007 when our then Director of Ventures had an idea to engage corporates and to use their skills and expertise to support our social entrepreneurs. This was really to add additional support to what Unlimited was already providing, and predominantly the idea behind this was to offer the support through mentoring. A post was created within Unlimited, and the first few months was really about researching the landscape what was out there in terms of mentoring, what worked, and over time a number of individuals were recruited as mentors to offer support to our social entrepreneurs. And initially the first corporate organisations that we managed to engage with were actually law firms who were able to offer pro bono legal support. Due to the capacity of one person growing this network, there wasn't a great deal of activity outside of London initially, but over time the London network grew, and she was able to develop some corporate money which was able to create posts to develop the Connect team, which is now 3 full-time members of the team and a part-time post. This has taken 6 years to get where we are. In terms of the support we offer social entrepreneurs, one-to-one mentoring is still very much at the heart of what we do, but we've really diversified in terms of our package with the landscape and what other support already exists for social entrepreneurs. We really pride ourselves on having a flexible program and a bespoke package of support to suit the social entrepreneur at whatever stage of their journey they are at. So that's really an overview of our program, the Networks program. Marika's got the slides, so we're just going to move on to the next slide, which is if you were considering setting up your own mentoring and program, really how you should get started, and there's some things to consider really. Pretty much listed on this slide really, these are the questions that you should ask yourselves. Is there a need for this kind of support? What are the areas of expertise your entrepreneurs need? Where else can they support the same kind of support? Have you got backing from your leadership teams? Probably the most crucial question to ask yourselves is, have you got time? Because it is an extremely time-consuming project, although very, very, very valuable. And what would be the aims and objectives for you, and ultimately what would success look like? And I think this is a really important question with anything that you do you should ask. In terms of Unlimited and our Connect program, I think what we would say success looked like for us was really people who access our support tell us afterwards that they've developed themselves and their social venture as a result of it, and able to give us an example of that, because then we know that we're on track. So is it worth it? So once you've asked yourself a number of questions about setting up a program within your institution, is it worth it? I've mentioned this already, and I'm not going to lie, it is time consuming. Like I said, there's 3 full-time people and 1 part-time role on our team. We service England, and we do have a mission to support not just Unlimited award winners who are former award winners and the ones that we're currently supporting, but also to become the #1 support sector for support agency for the social enterprise sector nationally over time. But it takes time because essentially we are relationship builders, and that does not happen overnight. But there are many, many benefits from running your own program, and having that direct relationship with mentors means that you are able to engage them in different ways, and we found that we've recruited individuals as mentors, and they've gone on to deliver webinars and workshops, one-to-one surgeries, and a whole host of other things. We also have control over the matches made, and we, not very scientifically, but we basically spend time with the mentors, and we spend time with our award winners, and we really look at the shared value of people to really try and make a match like that. And about 99% of the time it works very, very well. In terms of the corporates, we've been able to have direct relationships with corporates, which we're very fortunate to have. And what we're working on now really is deepening those relationships so that they can work with Unlimited and the social enterprise sector in a variety of different ways, because there's lots of benefits to them and lots of benefits to us, and I think we're finding these relationships very, very worthwhile. As I said, we started back in 2007, so it's taken a really long time for us to get where we are. So the top tip really is to set up a program is to start small, start with a pilot, and then see how that grows and evolves as what you learn from that. Okay, I'm going to hand back over to Marika now, who's going to talk a bit about the steps.
Right, thank you, Julie. So I'd say these, what you see on the screen now, these are probably what we would consider the key steps along the way particularly when you're starting to build your mentoring program or your pro bono networks. So obviously you start with identifying suitable volunteers, suitable partners. And I don't know if any of you on the line now, if you dialed in a couple of weeks ago, we did a webinar on building corporate partnerships, so specifically focusing on identifying and attracting corporates as partners. But your network will no doubt consist of a variety of different individuals, and it really all starts from identifying and using the networks you have access to as it is, and to have a really clear ask. So to be really clear in your mind about what it is that you are asking the volunteer to do. What is the opportunity for them? What I find from our work is that people are often really, really willing to help if they know what it is that you are wanting from them. And they are particularly willing to help if they meet the entrepreneurs in person, which is the point number 2 that I wanted to really highlight. I can't think of anything more powerful or more effective in terms of attracting and inspiring people to join our network than inviting them into a room where we have social entrepreneurs who are there to share their stories, to share their challenges and where they're at. And it's that passion that is what attracts the volunteers. And if they can, they are very willing to support the entrepreneurs in almost in any way they can. So as one way to get started, I would definitely recommend you just inviting people to a networking event, have a few social entrepreneurs there, and keep people sharing their stories. And then, of course, a bit further down the line, you can start to celebrate and really publicize the success stories. So we create case studies, and we're happy to share those with you if those would be helpful in your work. And the last 2 are probably more aimed at when you start to think about attracting and engaging corporate partners. So like with any partnership, it's a 2-way thing, and hopefully what you're offering is addressing a genuine need for that partner. So what's the problem you're solving for them? What it is that you are offering for them through this partnership. And always, it helps to create a sense of exclusivity or even a sense of competition. So we very much, and I know Unlimited has been going on for 10 years, so we do have a bit of a name in the social enterprise space, but it does help to present the opportunity to a corporate in a way that makes it sound like there are a number of companies interested in working with us, and which is true as well. So I'm not just making that up. And that they would be very lucky to get the opportunity to support us in our work. And then just as the final thing there, the need for screening and selection process. So that's really important. You need to also turn people away, and I know personally that's a learning point for me, and I still find it very difficult to say no to people when we come across a lot of really talented, very experienced individuals, but we may not always need them in our network, or they may not be quite the right person. So there's something about you needing to find a way that works for you to screen and select the right people for your network, and also then the way to turn people away. At Unlimited, in our team, what we do is we aim to meet in person every single person who applies or expresses an interest in joining our network. So that's our sort of probably biggest filter. It's just that personal meeting and getting a sense of the person. Are you the sort of individual that we would like to have in the network or not? So that's that. And preparing and retaining mentors. So once people have signed up, just a few little pointers about what we do as to keep them engaged and keep them part of the network and part of the family. For us, it's really important that we build genuine relationships with people who are in the network. So we are not interested in having masses and masses of names on the list, just on the off chance that we might one day need them. But what we really want to do and need to work on quite hard at, it's not easy, but what we really want to do is to get to know people really well and offer them a variety of different opportunities to share their skills. So it could be mentoring, it could be webinars, it could be workshops. We organize networking events, we send newsletters, and we also offer mentor training a couple of times a year. And also the thanking and celebrating part here as well. So we obviously don't pay any money. Everything that people give to us, their time, their expertise, that's all pro bono, that's all free of charge. But it's just finding little ways of showing appreciation and saying thank you. And it can just be a card and a bar of chocolate, which sounds like very little, but can be just a nice thing, just to show that we really appreciate people's time. And cake and wine always goes down well. We have volunteers who this is one of their key motivations. So just a few things that you can think about once you start to build a network of the sort of things that you can do with your volunteers. Now, support requests. This is again can be potentially quite a tricky part. So sourcing the support requests and really understanding what it is that the entrepreneurs need. I think our role, initially, we didn't really realize this, but our role is also very much about helping the entrepreneur, A, understand what it is they need, and B, articulate that. So people obviously don't know what they don't know, so there's that part. And then even if they do know what they need, it can be sometimes difficult for them to put it into a support request that we can then share with a potential volunteer. So there is an element of coaching involved, it feels sometimes, and helping the entrepreneur get to the bottom of what it is that they really need for their business and for themselves right now, and also helping the entrepreneur to think about do they really have time to work with the mentor. So we sometimes get new award winners coming to us all excited and really wanting all the support they possibly can get. So they want legal support, they want a mentor, they want to participate in a workshop, etc., etc. But then what they may forget is that to build a relationship with a mentor, it really is a time commitment, it really is an energy commitment as well. And just talk through those sorts of questions as well to make sure that they appreciate that it is a two-way relationship, and actually working with a mentor, whilst it creates a really helpful space in which they can reflect and plan ahead, it also tends to generate more work because you kind of get that opportunity to step back and then think about where your business is going. So to discuss the time commitment involved as well. Matching. Now, for us, we have a variety of criteria that we base our matching on. We still do our matching I was going to say in person, not in person, but we don't use technology for this yet. Maybe later down the line, but at the moment, it's us, our team, looking at the support request and then looking at the pool of volunteers that we have, and then trying to work out, who would be the most appropriate person for this entrepreneur at this time. And there's no science to it, and sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong. We do the matching based on obviously the support and expertise needed, and then support and expertise offered or available by the mentor. As much as we can, we try and try and think about the personality and the chemistry, although that will be determined then once the people meet. Availability, how intensive is the support that the entrepreneur is looking for, how much time has got the mentor, how much time the mentor's got available, where are they based. We try to match geographically so that people would be in the same location, but I know some people are also very happy with Skype or telephone or email, so that's an option, so you don't necessarily have to be in the same city. And then also personal interests, and with that I'm referring particularly to the mentor. It's really important that the social venture or the project that the mentor is supporting is something that they can get excited about as well, and something that they can really believe in. And the personal interest is something that we always ask at that interview stage that I mentioned. So not only do we ask the mentor to talk about their professional background, but also just to tell us a little bit about what do they do outside work. I sometimes ask, what would be, if you were to set up a social enterprise, what would that change? What change would that create? Or alternatively, when you read a newspaper in the morning, what makes you really angry? What's the thing you want to change in the world? And then using that information, then that can be used for the matching. And then ultimately, we create the match on paper, we make introductions, and then we invite the mentor and the mentee to have their first meeting. And that's really when they decide if this is going to go anywhere. So it's really as important as our matching is the personality and the chemistry that is between the pair. Okay. Now.
Okay, so once we've made the match, we speak to both parties and really encourage them to put that groundwork in at the beginning and really get to know each other. And we really see the first meeting as them really finding out about each other, not just professionally and the kind of expertise that the mentor can provide and where the social entrepreneur is at and where they want to be at, but also, you know, personally, just to get to know each other a bit better. And then we really encourage them to be really clear about why they're working together, to agree the aims and objectives and also the expectations, so that it's very, very clear from the outset what's going to happen, how they're actually going to go about this in terms of their learning style, and essentially a contract, if you like, of how they're going to conduct themselves, how often they're going to meet. Is it okay for the social entrepreneur to email and phone the mentor, or does the mentor doesn't want that to happen, and that kind of thing. And in terms of the social entrepreneur, it's really important that they take responsibility for their learning and development, because essentially it's them that is trying to grow and develop as a person, as well as develop their social venture. What we often find when we match people is that the mentor tends to take the lead in this very, very early stage, because perhaps the social entrepreneur doesn't quite know exactly what it is that they want, and there's so much on offer, if you like. So it's really about the mentor helping them define what the important things that they want to get done in the next 3 months. Over time, once we match people, the relationship should actually turn, and it is the social entrepreneur that takes the lead, and the mentor sits back a bit more. A mentoring relationship is like any kind of relationship, in that the same principles apply in terms of respect and listening and that kind of thing. Now, it is okay for the social entrepreneur to challenge their mentor, not to expect to be told what to do. And it's also okay to disagree. So, you know, a mentor can give their advice, wisdom, but if the social entrepreneur then decides to go off and do something completely different, then that's acceptable. That is absolutely fine, as long as both sides respect each other's opinions and agree to disagree, essentially. So in terms of the next slide, once we have matched somebody, a pair, we have a flexible and light touch approach in terms of supporting the pairings. So we'll definitely make contact after the first meeting to ensure really that both sides have agreed that they are going to work together, and that they've got a bit of a plan, or they're about to put a plan in action of their aims and objectives. So that's fine. And then after that point, we kind of leave pairings to get on with it, really, and we don't check in every single week as much as we'd like to. But obviously, you know, people will make their own time appointments and that kind of thing, and we check in ad hocly, really, and then we do tend to bump into some of our social entrepreneurs and mentors at various events that we run, so we often get a bit of an update then. We also encourage the mentors and mentees to meet other mentors and mentees at different events or on our online platform. We also have our mentor training, which recently we've been inviting social entrepreneurs to attend as well, and that can be at any point in the relationship. So that can be at the start of the relationship, or as a bit of a refresher once the relationship's been going for a while. We do check in midpoint about 6 months in, and we do have some specific monitoring and evaluation questions that we ask, and again at 12 months. Now if a relationship goes beyond 12 months, that's when we kind of step back a bit, because I think by that point both parties have agreed they want to work together. They don't necessarily need to check in, although we always say we're at the end of the phone if anybody has any questions or anything. Yeah, and I think I just mentioned our online forum, Ask Unlimited Connect, which people can sign up to. This slide now, which we've just put on the screen, is really a visual diagram of the mentoring journey, which, on average, most relationships are for around 12 months. But again, that can be very flexible. We do ask for a minimum of a 3-month commitment when we match people up on both sides, and some relationships are 6, 9 months, 12 months, and many do go on beyond the 12 months. Which is when we do take a step back. The first 2 stages are essentially the building rapport and setting direction, which is really the kind of getting to know each other, setting the clear aims and objectives, and then as we progress through the relationship, to really review that we're on track with these aims and objectives and amend them if necessary. The goalposts might change, things happen, life happens, so really it's just about checking in that we're on track, and the purpose, really, the purpose of the relationship and why we're doing it. At some point, the relationship will come to an end, and it's very, very important that is acknowledged. So we kind of have a winding up phase, really, so that we can agree a date for that to end and to move on. And I think it's really important at this point to agree, look back, reflect on what's been achieved, and to agree how you might continue and that you might still remain friends, or you might want closure. But whatever you decide, it's just important to end it properly. At which point we would then send out our monitoring and evaluation questions, which is our next slide, and in some cases we're able to capture extremely good evidence and create case studies in that respect. So I'll hand back over to Marika now.
Great, thank you. So getting towards the end now, and just a few questions to think about around monitoring and evaluating the impact of your mentoring or pro bono support, the support that you brokered. For Unlimited, we have 2 audiences, and I guess quite often that is the case for people. So we want to evidence our impact and our outcomes, both internally and externally. So to internal audiences, just to talk just to be able to demonstrate, how many people we've supported, what have been the outcomes, what has changed as a result of the Connect support that we have brokered over the course of the year. And externally, I'm thinking the audiences are perhaps more about our partners and potential partners. So when we want to talk to volunteers and mentors and corporate partners about the value of the work, the value of them sharing their time and expertise with us, and like Julie mentioned, we do that through case studies, etc. So really for you to also think about right at the beginning, how do you know if the support you have brokered is or has had an impact? Do you need to know that? What precisely do you need to know about that? And who's your audience? Who do you need to evidence your program impact to? It could be a funder, it could be an internal champion. And what is it that they want to know? And if you can ask them, all the better. And when and how will you capture this? So Julie talked through pretty much the points during the previous slide. So we capture information right at the beginning, after the first meeting, when we capture objectives. So we try to get a sense of what is the pair trying to achieve, hoping to achieve, and then we do a midway review around 4 to 5 months, just to see, you said you were going to do these things, have you actually been meeting up, how is the relationship developing? And then we do an end of relationship evaluation. And ours is not particularly formal, so we use just online surveys, or we pick up the phone and organize a time to speak to the people and then capture their feedback in that way. And we capture feedback from both sides, so we interview or survey both the volunteers and the entrepreneurs. So we really want to understand what has been the learning on both, to both parties. Now, challenges, we wanted to discuss a few that you may come across, or you may have come across already if you're doing this work. Things obviously don't always work out. Matches don't always work out the way you wanted them to. Some examples to talk you through of the sort of things that we've had to deal with, we've had to intervene in, is when relationships break down, and most often what happens is one or the other, so either the entrepreneur or the mentor, disappears, goes silent, and the other one is left wondering what's happening. So on those cases, if we get to hear about that, then our job is really to pick up the phone and find out what's happening. And quite often there is a reason, like we said, life does happen. And sometimes people may fall ill, there might be stuff happening in their families. Having said all that, of course, that's not really an excuse not to communicate, at least to drop a quick line to say, I'm sorry, I'm not able to engage with this right now, but I'll be back once things settle down. But things like that may happen, and it's good to just to be really clear with the mentors and mentees from the outset that, of course, they should be letting the other know if they are not available. But also, if there are any issues, they can come to you. They can come to you, and you will then find out what's happening. Relationships may lose momentum, so you start off all excited and all ready to go, but then for one reason or another, they don't quite work out the way they should, and the frequency of meetings decreases, and then one or the other might drift off. One of our award winners emailed me recently and gave me feedback about their mentor, and they felt that even though the mentor was very, very nice, they weren't actually acting as a mentor, they were acting more as a friend, and they were looking for a much more structured relationship, and they felt that the relationship wasn't working for that reason. So that was really, really useful for us to know, and of course great for them to let us know about that. And actually in the end, the only solution for that one was for us to just find them a new mentor. And that might be what you need to do. Either either try and support the mentor pair to resolve issues between themselves, but if that's not possible, then just end the relationship and then try and find alternative support for the entrepreneur. And what else? Not quite often. Sometimes mentors come to us and they wonder about whether their support is making a difference, and that can sort of, even for experienced mentors, they may not be 100% confident about what it is that they can offer and how much impact their support is having. And with that, our first piece of advice is, of course, for them to go out and ask the entrepreneur, is what we're doing, is this helpful, and revisiting those objectives and trying to build in some milestones, and hopefully through that both sides will start to get a sense of progress, but then also that this is genuinely useful for both parties, which is really important. Everyone is very busy, and the relationship needs to be one that is actually adding value to the entrepreneur. And finally, just as a final point, a slightly different point of a challenge that we constantly grapple with is the balancing and matching the supply and demand. So having the right support available at the right time. And I'm not sure if we'll ever reach that holy grail of getting it just right, but that's just something that I guess you'll have to feel your way through and start small and build your network according to what the entrepreneurs need. But I guess that is probably one of the biggest challenges in running any mentoring programs. Just regionally and expertise-wise, having the right mix of people in your network. Okay, and just to end on a more positive note, on a happy note, when it does work, it works really, really well, and most of the time it does, which is lovely. And there's just a couple of quotes, both from an entrepreneur and one of our mentors, about what the work has meant for them. Now, I think the next part will move into questions. I'm not sure if we've had questions come through.
Yes, we have.
That's great. Okay, so we'll go through any questions we have, and then we'll wrap up by 2 o'clock. Sorry.
Great, thanks, Marika. So I think I've got the questions that are accessing here. So if I just read them out, and then between us, we should be able to answer them. So the first question is around corporate partners. And somebody's asked, do we have any recommendations for opening up conversations with potential corporate partners? So if I start answering that, and then Marika, please jump in with anything else. But the best advice that I've ever been given is really depending on what setting you meet the corporate partner in, whether it's at a networking event or you're given the name, but really to invite them out for coffee. And I think that's the first thing. So if you meet at a networking event, and it's going well, and they want to know more, and you'd really like to work with them, then let's follow up with a coffee. If you're given their name and you are kind of cold calling them or emailing them, again, I think it's an invitation for a coffee, to ask them to come out, to really to sit down in a nice, relaxed setting and environment to talk about Unlimited. And I think if we have examples of our award winners, we have examples of some of our partnerships that we've had, and some quotes, if you like, up our sleeve. They make great conversation topics quite early on. Further down the line, if a corporate is interested in speaking to us and finding out more, then there's no better resource than our actual social entrepreneurs, because they tell their stories better than anybody, and they have great impact when we take social entrepreneurs to corporate firms and ask them to tell their story. So that's how I would answer that question. Marika, do you have anything to add to that?
Just one thing really, and that's, it might be difficult if you just bump into a potential partner, say at the networking event, and you don't really get a chance at that moment to find out more about their background. But if you do have a chance to do any research on where, you know, who they are and what their company does, then just to look in, you know, look normally on their website or somewhere. Normally companies talk quite openly about their sort of, say, CSR or sustainability objectives. So just really to look at what is that company focusing on. So one of our partners, they've got 3 focus areas, which are education, environment, and entrepreneurship. And by just reading up about them and understanding their work in those spaces, it was really helpful for us when we then, you know, started the conversations with them and proceeded to putting a proposal to them, was to frame it in a way that, you know, that was meaningful for them. So we already know that you are focusing on entrepreneurship. You know, we can see that you're doing X, Y, Z. This is how what we can offer will complement your current work or will, you know, will address gaps in the work they do. So just that research piece would be my recommendation, really understanding where they're coming from.
Great, thank you. We have another question here, which is, what are the main fields of work that are most in demand for support from social entrepreneurs? That's a very interesting question. In terms of what we offer from Unlimited, we do have a lot of experience within our network from professional service firms that can offer support around business planning and kind of financial planning, financial awareness. What we get requests for time and time again are things around marketing and sales, which is a very, very popular topic and very broad as well. So really have to hone that down, because marketing and sales can come right back to having the right business plan in the beginning, and then there's the whole kind of social media element side of things as well. So there's lots of strands for that. So I'd certainly say that was a popular request from social entrepreneurs. Time and time again we get legal support requests, and we do have a number of legal firms and individuals who can help address these needs, because fundamentally in any kind of business there are legal implications, and it's not an area of expertise of many of our social entrepreneurs. We do get requests where people are looking for routes to market, so where they've got a product or a service. It's really how to get to the right people, really, which I guess is probably the third most popular request, is really the access to the right people and networks. So quite often people don't necessarily want to embark on a long-term mentoring relationship, but they want us to make introductions and connect them to people that are going to be able to benefit them. Marika, have you got anything to add to that list?
Not really. I think the routes to market was a really good point. I was going to say public sector procurement and any advice around funding bids, bid writing, that kind of thing we get quite often, because for a lot of social entrepreneurs, their clients are either local authorities or local government. So if you know or have any individuals in your networks who understand that space and understand the language and, you know, how you go about finding the opportunities there, then that can be really useful. But no, other than that, I think you've covered them.
Great, thank you. And another question here is from one of the universities who said they know that we have a template for mentees, but do we have one for mentors, and can the university access them? I'm
not sure if I know which template we're talking about when we say we have a template for mentees. Oh, I see, the support request form. Maybe that's what we're talking about here. I hope I'm answering the right thing, and we can take this question afterwards as well. I'm very happy to either speak on the phone or email. But we do, we ask volunteers to fill a form when they first join the network. So we capture their expertise and their CVs and bios and their interests both through that interview I mentioned earlier, but then also through an online form that they fill out, and that then feeds the data into our customer relationship management system, which is where we then pull up the potential volunteer details when the time comes to match them. So hopefully I answered the right question there.
Yeah, we can. I know who's asked the question, so we can check in with you after the webinar. That seems to be it for questions at the moment. If anybody has any questions once we finish the webinar, then please don't hesitate to contact us. I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes in case anybody's typing anything in, because I don't want to miss any questions. We have recorded today's webinar, and we can send the link out to everybody that's attended and all the universities on the programme, and certainly would be very happy to follow up with any questions or templates or things that are going to be useful to universities. I hope that by sharing our knowledge and experience of running the Connect programme over the last 6 years has been useful, and we're still learning as we go along, and coming up with new ideas and best practice all the time. But I think that seems to be it for questions. So Marika, if you just want to say any closing words.
Sure, thank you. No, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's dialed in and joined in. Any feedback will be much appreciated, and any questions, like Julie said, please send them through. Most of you will have my email address already, but it's on the screen again. We do have a mentoring guide online, which I can send you as a follow-up to this. We have the recording, so we'll send you that as well. And we'll keep you posted on any mentor training dates. You're very, very welcome to join us. I know they're aimed at mentors, but they might be useful also for you as potential mentoring program managers. And then also individual meetings. So I know everyone's circumstances are very individual, but if you are thinking about setting a program like Connect, and you would like myself or Julie or both of us to come and talk to you more about this, or to your teams, then we'd be very happy to. So do let us know. But if there are no more questions, then I think we will close now and say a big thank you and wish you a very good weekend. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you everybody, and have a good day and have a good weekend. Bye.